Welcome back to the Turtle Talk podcast. It is your host, Old Sun Sports. We are co-hosted by John from Sideline Sports Network. A great week to be a Terp as always. Let's get into the action.
One more week. We find out the fate. You will not find out here because we post our episodes on Thursday. But in 1 week, we will find out the fate of Nicholas Harbor, Andrew Harris, and Michael Harris, if they're Terps or not. And I'm tonight going to make my picks on where I think they're going to go. First,
right.
so Nick Harbor, he's, the tantalizing recruit, a guy that
Unicorn.
he's got some suitors. And it's been a very, very, very weird couple weeks. Starting with, it was Monday or Tuesday, the old fake out post the picture that he's in Boulder, Colorado, but he's not. He was at home. He was trolling all of us. He got me. He got everybody in that. He got all the recruiting analysts reported it. Someone had a preloaded full article about Colorado chasing him. He just posted that, and then immediately was like 10 minutes later, he just sends a pic to Tom Med, and he's just at school.
It's crazy.
So that was funny. Another school that's not out of it, but is really a long shot because of the visit situation, Miami. And then the four, and in my opinion, the order, I'd say honestly, fourth. I think finishing fourth. I don't know if they'll have the one. I don't know if they'll have 2, 3, 4 ranked, but in my opinion, I think fourth would be South Carolina. Now I know he has really good relationships with, the South Carolina team, and I think that's really what's been keeping him in. But I don't think all this smoke. The 24/7 writers for South Carolina, they're very they think it's them. They're still the Whittle or Wiffle, whatever guy's name is. His crystal ball is still out from August on Harbor. So from the outside looking in, for people that don't know the recruitment, it seems like South Carolina is the team, but I view them as more of a long shot.
Mm-hmm.
Finishing third, in my opinion, will be Michigan. Michigan, obviously a playoff team, but they're going through a little bit of a rough patch with the weird NCAA allegations on Harbaugh, his, willingness to be interviewing with NFL teams every offseason. They lost Matt Weiss, their co-offensive coordinator, not the great one. I think Sharon Moore is probably the rising star OC there, but they have they have a really good football program. He's got his mother, her family is from Ann Arbor, so that's kind of a close to home, not close to Maryland, but he has family there, so it's not like he's completely flying in blind. And I think the top two teams, which we're gonna know the top two teams, I think provide more of what he wants. Number 2, Oregon. Now, Oregon has been a recent flyer up the boards for Nick. They have a new agent that has been milking Phil Knight of all the money that he can give him with the whole track program. They have a great football team in a Pac-12 that's going to be left pretty bare after USC and UCLA. Not discrediting Utah or Prime maybe
They're
at
solid
Colorado,
programs, but they're not Alabamas and LSU's of the world.
Yeah. Pac-12 is definitely going to be, left a little bare. And, Oregon, I think, will end up in the Big Ten by the end of the day. Maybe not in Nick's career, but,
I see Oregon moving to the Big Ten. I gun to my head, I'd probably say that's going to happen long term.
Yeah, they offer money. They offer an amazing track program. They offer football. But what they don't offer is relationships, long-term relationships. Now, I don't know how new they are in terms of just reaching out, but he hasn't had the relationships built like he has with other teams. They are 3,000 miles away in the Northwest, and if you follow Nick's recruitment, when he was talking about Michigan, he didn't, he wasn't particularly good with the cold. And for an athlete that needs to have sunshine and, going to Oregon, it's very rainy.
Yeah.
So I think Oregon, while they provide a ton, and it would not surprise me if he committed there, and it would make sense if he committed there because everything he's looking for.
Nothing would shock me in the Nick Harbor recruitment at this stage.
Oh yeah, I mean he could. Yeah. I mean he could pick my number 4 school. I really wouldn't be surprised because in reality, I'm saying it like it's a big drop off, but really all these teams are really close because they all made it down this far. Colorado and Miami, I don't think are that close. I think he would need to be everything need to be perfect there. But
so
anyway,
process of elimination, you're going to
school,
predict that he's coming to us.
Nick Harbor is a Terp. I think Nick Harbor will be a Terp, and it's 100% homerism because Terp fan.
I'll go out and I'll make that prediction too. I feel I like our chances. I don't love our chances, but I definitely like our chances.
I think the way he talked about his official visit, somehow, wink, wink, meeting his orthopedic doctor at the campus. We showed out with the game. He felt the love. We are minutes away from his family, his direct family. We are a really good medical school. We don't have an amazing track program. We don't have a state-of-the-art stadium built for him, but we have a really good coach. We have players who are
great
been
culture,
to the Olympic.
Great culture.
Yeah. I mean, it's really not a great track program in terms of the big schools, but it's not a team sport. He can easily still be a number 1 ranked athlete here, just like Caleb Dean is, just like Valman was, like Ronaldo was. So ultimately, I think he's a Terp. I really do, and I think you should probably keep your expectations low because he has the Olympic trials in February. I think I've mentioned this before, but he's got the Olympic trials in February. So I think that's where he's going to have his focus too. And Laux is going to, obviously he's going to understand he's a generational guy.
Yeah.
4th rated recruit to ever step foot on campus. And I really am, I'm nervous, but a good nervous for our chances. And in terms of the Harris twins, it won't be as long-winded because there's only 2 schools. Thankfully, we eliminated Arkansas and Travis Williams, the DC there from the list. But they do still have really good relationships with other coaches and players at UCF. It's close to home, really close.
Yeah.
In fact, they are visiting UCF this weekend. But the dad's on the side. Andrew, I think, one of the twins is on our side completely, and one's pretty much there. It's just got to take the mom convincing. But I think they're both gonna end up Terps. The crystal ball is leaned that way. No one's moved off of it. And I really think they're both gonna be.
It's because we're selling a good product these days.
Yeah, I mean, Laux is.
We have the facilities, we have the academics, we have the, we're in the Big Ten, we have the coaching staff. We're relative to, 10 years ago when I was on campus, we really just have nice things to sell to recruits.
And in Loxley's own words, TBIA, and that's
TBIA.
True.
The best is ahead.
We've accelerated the program every year since he's been here. And, at some point it's going to kind of, lay off. I hope it doesn't. I hope we just become a national powerhouse. But at some point it's going to tail off. Big Ten.
Yeah, there will be some regression in some years, but it is.
I don't even know about regression. I just think kind of staying at the 8-win mark is. Even if that's the end result, I think it's really good. And with the 12-team playoff coming up, you have 1-10-2 year where you beat Michigan or you beat Penn State, you beat Ohio State or a West team. You're in the playoff.
Yeah, with the 12 team,
you can never complain.
I know it's the writing's on the wall, so to say.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, but just saying that the next episode will be preview or reviewing the signing period. 0 for 3, 2 for 3, or 3 for 3. I think either way, I'm excited about this team. I would just obviously it would be great if we got all three though.
Absolutely. Sign me up for that. I love the Harris twins. I'm a big Nick Harvard fan. Let's cross our fingers and hope we bring home the bacon. All right, so let's
Right.
talk. We'll pivot to basketball. Do you want to talk recruiting first, or do you want to talk on court results?
Well, not to spoil I mean, you'll see it in the graphic. We have Colby G scouting, so he'll do pretty much most of the recruiting. Only real news that I have, besides Braden Pierce got a crystal ball in. He has Zovi this weekend, so I would probably expect a commitment from him. Maybe silent this week, and then he announces whenever, or he commits and he announces on the spot. Whatever it is, I think he's going to end up a Terp. And unfortunately, we got no McDonald's All-Americans were announced yesterday. Your 2 days ago. But no Deshaun Harris Smith, who I think
Shame.
used that as fuel, because last night he had 27, 7 rebounds, 6 assists, 4 steals against St. John's, a WCAC powerhouse.
It's
And a
crazy.
great win for Paul the Sixth. And no one's called me out on it, but I know I've done it. I've called them Paul the Fourth this entire time.
Yeah, I actually I
Paul the
noticed that.
Sixth.
I didn't want to interrupt you mid podcast, but I forgot it slipped. But yeah, Paul the Sixth.
Yeah, I got the numerals backwards.
No, you're all good, John. That's funny.
Yeah, but that's all I got for recruiting. Colby's got a lot more in our little interview.
Absolutely. So, what about a big win in our tonight?
Yeah, I mean, we kind of kept it quiet. Obviously, this is directly after a huge 15, whatever it was, point victory against Wisconsin. And let me tell you what, Jameer Young at home is it's like MJ.
Yeah.
Honestly, I don't know what about
Jordan at the United Center is just he's magic.
I don't know what him being home does to him in his blood, but it just makes him score 30 every single time.
Yeah.
I really do want to. I'm going to look it up right now. What his splits are on the season.
Home and road, yeah.
Because home and away, it's probably insane. Anyway, it was a big win tonight. Julian Reese is finally kind of having his coming out games. I don't know if it was the Zach Edey matchup that kind of pushed him to be, more aggressive. People kind of labeled him as soft. I don't know if he heard that. I don't know if his mom or his sister, who, it's a Terp podcast, but God, she is killing it at LSU right now.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, I don't know if it was one of them two got in his ear, but since that matchup, he's been great. I mean, really, really, really good. Aggressive in the paint. He's got weird shooting styles where he's not, he's just jumping and throwing it up there, and it just goes in. And you know what? If it works, it works. And obviously, it's a different matchup when you're facing against, Wisconsin, who is a bunch of, skinny white boys that there's not really a big on that team. But that just helps us because a lot of the teams that we play don't have bigs like, Hunter Dickinson, Zach Edey.
How about shout out to Akeem Hart. He had a great game tonight.
Yeah, he's such a safe, really good player. He makes
high
really
floor,
good
high ceiling guy.
Yeah. I mean, like I said in the Jamie Kaiser interview, I won every single. Even Dante Scott, he gets ragged on a lot, and sometimes the effort is not there for him, and sometimes he makes not smart plays. But just imagine what another year in the Kevin Willard system does for all of them.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't want to jump to conclusions, but I think we could be top of the Big Ten contenders, and even potentially be national contenders with a team, two
Top
competent
ten-ish,
bigs.
top 10-ish team.
Yeah. Jameer Young back, maybe grab another kind of point, or Jahari Long even. I mean, he's had a really good year, and he's a lower recruit from Willard's time at Seton Hall. Purdue game, we kept it tough, couldn't make a shot down the stretch, but I think we played awesome that game. It was a kind of a blowout at halftime, and I said it in tweets. I say it all the time. We are a second half team, and if we are up at halftime, I would wager to say 9 times out of 10 we're gonna win that game. Because even games where we're down at half big, we've come back. I think Tennessee, Wisconsin, Michigan, or not Michigan, Purdue. And speaking of Michigan, that game was great. We didn't hold Hunter Dickinson, but it was a lot better than last time. Jett Howard didn't really have that great of the game. He was kind of just chucking it. And Jameer Young, another home game where he had like 27, 29 points. So, I really like the way this team. It's starting to rise up and peak, and our schedule kind of favors us. I think in terms of Big Ten versus Big Ten, I think we have the easiest schedule remaining, and we have a couple of games. Nebraska at Minnesota might be tough because it's at, but they're not really formidable this year. Penn State, they don't have a big, and that helps. We play Purdue at home, which I'm excited for. We play Nebraska and Minnesota away and home, and in late February. And then Northwestern at home. I mean, I really think that's a really favorable schedule for us when it comes to Big Ten play, and you're not playing the best teams back to back, and then break and then back to back. You know what I mean?
Absolutely good, solid analysis. Just couldn't have said it better myself. So will that wrap things up for basketball?
Well, I can go through the next two games, Indiana, Nebraska.
Yeah, preview the next two games. Yeah, that's what I was thinking of.
Yeah, Nebraska. I mean, if we show out, it's a Saturday afternoon game, so
no excuses to lose that game.
No excuses. People, show up, and run Nebraska out of the building.
Yeah,
Nebraska. They have a solid, kind of three players: Derek Walker, Sam Griesel, and Kisei Tominaga. Those are your three guys that really score the ball for them. But it really, in terms of it, they're just not that great. They're like 3-7 in the big, like 7-11 overall. I think if we just show up, even have a decent scoring day. Obviously, we had a really, really good scoring day today. But if we just have a decent scoring day, put up the pressure on defense, make them turn the ball over, I think we'll have a really, really good day. And in Indiana, they're kind of on a hot stretch a little bit. Right now, they're actually playing Minnesota, and they're losing, I believe. Obviously, there's a guy that needs to just leave college basketball. I think he's been there for 7 years. Trace Jackson Davis. He is their
he's
team.
Still. Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah, he's still in college basketball.
Yeah,
wow.
Yeah, he's still there, and he's still dominating. He averages 19 points. If you can keep him to that 19, they have freshman Jalen Hood-Schifino. That'll be an NBA guy. Xavier Johnson, I think he might still be hurt. Miller Kopp, Brace Thompson, Trey Galloway, obviously pretty solid guys. Jamar Bates has had a really, really good last couple games. I think he's starting to hit it. And Malik Reneau, a guy that actually Maryland had on campus before Indiana, was, maybe set to get a commitment from him, and he ended up going to Indiana. He's really not been super great. So, I think that's a Tuesday night game, 9 o'clock. You know what? Show up. Don't go to work on Wednesday. Show up. That should be the loudest game of this. That and Purdue needs to be the loudest two games of the entire season because, Trace Jackson, he's a little bit of a douche.
Yeah.
I don't want to hate on people, but he's a little bit of a douche, I think any way we can. Yeah, we can run him out of the building, and Purdue. We had that game. I would say, I'm not really. I was very livid on Twitter, but I will say that in reality, you can't count on the refs to be on your side all the time, or even really just be fair all the time. So you got to win games just by winning games. You can't just rely on terrible calls to save you. We had ample opportunities down the stretch to win that game, and we just couldn't score the ball. So I think you got to show up for that game too. I think that might actually be. Is that a Saturday? No, that is a Thursday, 6:30.
Okay.
So even then, show up, go to the game. It's cheap.
Yep. All right. Great
Traffic's
entertainment.
terrible.
Great quality entertainment. Maryland Terrapins basketball sells itself. All right. So now on to non-revenue sports. What's up with wrestling these days?
Wrestling had a tough week. I mentioned a couple episodes ago that they had the really tough schedule coming up.
Yeah, tough sledding.
They got blown out by Ohio State, and they kind of kept it not very close against Illinois in terms of the wrestling. And I think we're still trending in the right direction. It's just it's tough. It's always going to be tough, and we still have a streak of really good teams that were fighting or bout, or I don't know how to say it, but tomorrow or Friday, I guess tomorrow for you guys, they'll go to Michigan State, and then they'll stay in Michigan, move over to Ann Arbor, and they're number 3rd ranked. Then they'll go home for Rutgers, they're ranked, and then they have a match in between, and then Penn State at Penn State. You know what? If you get a point, if you get a match win out of that, be happy, because Penn State is the best wrestling program. And I think they face Ohio State they face a really good team. I think it's either Ohio State or Michigan or something this Friday. So they're good. I mean, I think wrestling, considering what the program was just last year, I think, it's
Super
an
impressive
overachieving
outfit.
season.
Yeah. What about women's basketball?
Women's basketball, they're just doing really
rolling,
good. They have a really
their thing.
Yeah, they have 2 good road wins against Wisconsin, Nebraska, but they have a tough schedule coming up. I have it as Michigan ranked 13th, Penn State kind of like an intermediate in between kind of, Iowa, who is currently tied for number 1. They go to Iowa. They have to face the dreaded Caitlin Clark. God, she's gonna throw 50 on us. She's a beast. I love her.
Amazing.
And then they go home for Ohio State, who's also tied for number 1 in the Big. So, some tough weeks ahead. If they can get just 2 of those games win, that would be really, really positive.
Yeah, absolutely right. So we'll transition a bit. We're going to do a new segment. We had this idea. We're going to do Mount Rushmores of Maryland things. So first, we're going to do Maryland quarterbacks. So without the way we're going to format it, we're going to do like a draft back and forth. So, John, who is your first pick for a Mount Rushmore of Maryland quarterbacks?
I'm gonna preface this by saying I am a young. I don't know the history all that much. I didn't go to Maryland. I wasn't accepted, unfortunately. So I'm going to try my best in this Mount Rushmore here.
I think you'll do great. But who's your first pick?
I'll start off with Talia Tagovailoa. Who else? Maryland's all-time greatest quarterback, besides maybe Boomer, in terms of NFL. But in terms of the college game, Talia is prolific.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Shoe-in pick right there. My first pick, I'm going to do Boomer Esiason. He just epitomized Maryland football when we were good in the 80s. Had a great pro career for the Jets and the Bengals, and he's the voice of one of the voices of the NFL on NFL Today, Boomer Esiason.
Good pick.
All right, who's your second guy?
My second guy, the first quarterback when I really started following Maryland sports really heavily. I only saw 1 season of him, C.J. Brown.
C.J. Brown, good. Nice pick.
Yeah, that's about as far back as I'll go in terms of really having a fandom for Maryland.
All right, CJ, dual threat. I believe he was here a long time. Got a great degree. He was just a great Maryland Terrapin.
Yep.
All right, my next pick. He's been in the news lately. He's Frank Reich. He led the he's being mentioned for hires. He's probably going to get an NFL head coaching job after losing his job as a Colts bad man. But back when he was he was a pretty good quarterback for the Maryland Terrapins, and he led Maryland in the greatest comeback in program history.
Solid.
All right, Who's your quarterback?
Another Colts coaching staff guy who played in the CFL, guy who coached in the CFL, Scott Milanovic.
Okay.
However you say it.
Scott Milanovic, good pick.
That's how it is.
My third pick is I'm going to go with Shaun Hill. Shaun Hill was a journeyman NFL guy. He was our quarterback when we made the Orange Bowl in 2001. That was my first year of really watching Maryland football, really getting into Maryland football, 2001. Shaun Hill led the Maryland Terrapins, and we got our butts whipped by Rex Grossman and the Florida Gators. But Shaun Hill had an amazing All-ACC season for Maryland and had cut himself a nice career out.
All right.
Who's your fourth one?
My final one is Tyrell Pigrome, but
Piggy T.
Specifically, Tyrell Pigrome in the game against Texas where he came in for Kasim Hill.
Yes, that yeah. If you want to freeze one quarterback, one moment, all the chips were in his favor on that day. That was a great day.
That was a great day.
All right, my last one. I'll go with I'll go with Scott McBrien. Scott McBrien followed up Shaun Hill at University of Maryland after in the Golden Frisian years. He won, I believe, a Gator Bowl and a Peach Bowl. And he beat our ACC rivals handily. He's a DeMatha guy. Scott McBrien deserves to be in the Maryland's Quarterback Hall of Fame.
That's great. Great picks.
All right. Well, that'll wrap things up for the episode and the Mount Rushmore. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We appreciate your listenership as always. And as always, if you have any questions or feedback or topics or anything of that nature, feel free to tweet at us. Thank you. Go Terps.
Go Terps.